Wait, okay. Good morning. Okay, good. I just want to make sure we're all awake. Everyone's here. My name's Chelsea Nazarian. I'm one of our seminarians, and I'm also our junior high coordinator. I'm so excited to be here this morning and to share a message with you. But I thought before we dive into the word, I would give you a little glimpse of some exciting things that have been happening in our junior high program so that you can get a glimpse of what is going on in that part of our church, especially since we've been having a We Are the Church sermon series. It seems appropriate that we find out what's going on in our church. Does that sound good? Okay, church. We're going to need to be a lot louder this Sunday. The first service was so loud the police had to come tell us to simmer down. So does that sound like a good idea? Okay, good. I'm very pleased by that response. So this past Wednesday, we had 23 rambunctious, loud, chaotic junior high students show up on Wednesday evening for youth group. And that struck fear and terror in the heart of Peter and myself. But it was also so amazing and fun. And for some weird reason, I ended a smidgen early. We're supposed to be done at 9, and I accidentally finished my talk at 8:30. And so I just kind of turned them loose, and I let them kind of play and run around and just do whatever they were going to do. And I felt like maybe 15 minutes into this, I felt like I heard God say, like, Chelsea, stop, look around. And so I was in the youth center, and I stopped, and I looked around. And in the middle of the youth center, Carrie Kogan, one of our junior high interns, was sitting on the floor of the youth center, and she had a circle of 6th grade girls around her, and she was teaching them to play the harp. And I looked over in the corner, and Joe, one of the camp counselors from Creekside who'd come this week to volunteer, was talking and praying with one of our junior high boys. And I looked in the front room of the youth center, and Avalon Rigoni, one of our seniors in high school who volunteers with our junior high program, was talking with our 8th grade girls about boys, because what else is there to talk about? And I looked in Peter's old office, which is our new hangout space, and Mark, one of our other junior high volunteers, was playing video games with a bunch of our boys. And I felt like God was saying, take it in. Look, every student is being seen. Every student is being loved. Every student has a place here. And it was this really cool moment where I realized, yes, it is really important at youth group that we talk about God. Yes, it is really, really important that they learn the Bible, that they come and they learn about worship and prayer, but it is also really important that they come and they hear from a senior in high school, that they come and they get to play video games, that they come and they learn that they are loved and seen and heard. And church, that is happening at our youth group. And can we get an amen about that? So good things are happening at our church. And so with that, will you pray with me? Lord, I come to you this morning so incredibly grateful for this place and the people that fill it. I pray this morning that you would speak to all of us, that you would teach us about your vastness, that you would remind us that you are a God who moves mountains, that you are a God who parts oceans and raises the dead, and that you would also remind us that you are an intimate God, that you are a God who knows every hair on our head, that knows every desire and hurt and wish in our heart. I pray that today we would fall open-armed into you, Lord. I pray all these things in your name. Amen. So this morning we are going to continue with the theme of We Are the Church. Uh-oh. My notes got caught on my Bible. We're going to continue with the theme of We Are the Church, but we're going to bounce around a little bit in the Old and New Testament because I am one of those crazy people that believes it's all connected, that believes every verse of this book points us towards Jesus Christ. And so we're going to start in Genesis, but keep your finger there because we're also going to jump around to Matthew. So we're going to be in both places. But if you would like, we're going to start with Genesis 1. So the very first 4 words of the Bible are, in the beginning, God created. In the beginning, God decided that out of nothing there should be something. And he looked into the darkness and he made light. And he created land and he created sea. He created anteaters. And I said this in the first service and I'm going to say it again. I don't know why. Anteaters really keep me up at night. I want to know why we have them. I know that seems weird, but it's true. He created hippopotami. Someone can tell me what the correct grammar is later. He created trees and flowers, smells and tastes. And he looked at all of it and he said, "It is good." And if it was me, if I was God, and can we all just give a big amen that I am not God? Right? No, that was not a rhetorical amen. Can we all give a big amen that I am not God? And if it was me, I would say, good, perfect, let's leave it. That's good enough. But God, in his infinite wisdom, said, it's missing something. It's missing something. And he breathed life, and he created Adam. And he looked at Adam and he said, wait, we need something else. It is not good for man to be alone. And that verse today, church, is the crux of where this message is going. It's not good for man to be alone. Because it's my belief that a church is built on a lot of things, and one of the most important things is community. That yes, it is important that we come to this place and sit in these pews and learn about God. But if that was all it was about, we could have church in our pajamas watching a sermon on television. That part of what it means to be a church is to engage in community with each other. God said it is not good for man to be alone, and he created Eve. And Adam and Eve together became the beginning of community. And I think Adam and Eve give us a good picture of the church because they had some wild successes. They were to tend and keep the garden, and it seems in the beginning they did that well. They named things, and they took care of the plants, and they took care of the animals. And I think we can all agree they had, let's call them some slightly big failures, because they also are the origin of sin. It's also the beginning of sin. And that is where our story starts, with Adam and Eve. So I think the church looks like that as well. We have some big successes. You look at the history of the church, and the church does some amazing things. The church leads in some amazing ways. And the church also leads in some pretty horrible ones. We have some big failures. And I think sometimes we get caught up in those successes and failures, and we forget about this community that God ordained. That God said it is not good for man to be alone. And he talked less about the successes and failures in the beginning. All right, so put a pause there in Genesis and flip with me to Matthew. Matthew chapter 26. This morning, I told the first service that I had to confess one of my big Sunday mistakes, one of my big Sunday sins. On Sunday, I get up and I try to find a good cute Sunday outfit because, these first couple rows are filled with really cute clothes. The junior high and high school women bring their A game in the fashion department. So I have to find a good outfit. And so I try to look cute. And then I get in my car and I put on what I call my Sunday face. Does anybody else in this congregation have a Sunday face? I think we know what I'm talking about, right? It's that face that we bring into this church. It's that smile face. It's that everything is great face. I was telling the first service that for me, I've always felt like this should be a clean room. I mean that metaphorically, but also it'd be nice if we kept it a clean room literally. But I think church should be a place where everything is neat. Everything has a place. Church is a place where we're joyful and we tell God how much we love him and we thank him for all of our blessings. And sometimes I sit in this pew and I raise my hands in worship and I say, God, thank you so much because there's food on my table and there's a roof over my head and there's so many good things going on in my life. And so I'll put on my smile because everything's fine and I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm okay. If I say it enough, maybe I'll start to believe it. But deep inside, the truth is I'm broken. Something's wrong in my life. I'm lonely, or I'm frustrated, or I'm staying up late at night worried about finances, or worried about my future, or worried about my family, or worried about my friends. And instead of coming into this room and laying all of that bare, instead of coming into this room and saying to the people who love me in here, I am not okay today. I come into this room and I smile and I say, I'm great. How was your Sunday? I put on my Sunday face. And this week, as I was preparing this message, as I was preparing this idea of community, I was moved by Matthew 26. I was moved by Matthew 26. Jesus, who is our perfect example, who is fully God and fully man, who should have it all together, who, if anyone can stand on his own 2 feet, it should be Jesus, needs help. In verse 36 it says, Then Jesus went with his disciples to a place called Gethsemane, and he said to them, Sit here while I go over there and pray. He took Peter and the 2 sons of Zebedee along with him, and he began to be sorrowful and troubled. Then he said to them, My soul is overwhelmed with sorrow to the point of death. Stay here and keep watch with me. My soul is overwhelmed with sorrow to the point of death. Stay here and keep watch with me. Jesus is saying, I cannot do it by myself. I need you. Jesus is saying, I need you. To men that mess up again and again and again and again. He's not embarrassed by it. He doesn't think it's weakness. Jesus doesn't think that his vulnerability speaks to his manhood. He doesn't think it speaks to his pride. He enters into community with his friends, with these men that he's walked around working and preaching and healing others with his church. He reaches out his hand and says, Prop me up today. I'm not enough. Prop me up today. I think that is such a powerful example for what we need to be doing. It convicts me because time and time again, I keep my mouth shut about the pain and the hurt and the weakness in my life. I'm afraid that if I speak up about the mistakes I make, it speaks badly about who I am or who my family is. I'm afraid that if I share my fears, then everyone will see my weakness. I'm afraid that if I share my hurt, then everybody will know my pain. My mom used to say that when I was a little girl, even when I was little, she'd ask me how my day was, and I'd say, "It was good, Mom." And then I'd go up to my room and shut my door, and she'd hear me crying on the other side of my door. She called it my tender underbelly. She said that even when I was little, I was scared to show my tender underbelly, that there's something in me that's afraid to open up. Church, God does not want that for me. God says, reach out. Let people love you. Let people prop you up. I think that one of the most beautiful examples of this I saw a few years ago when I was working at a Resurrection Lutheran Church just on PV Boulevard. Two women came up at the Christmas season and shared a story. They had Advent candle lighting really similarly to how we do here. And there were these two retired women, and they'd both lost their husbands within a year of each other. And they came up and shared this story. They said that a few years earlier, they'd lost their husbands, and they were both in this incredibly isolating, painful place. They felt this grief like they'd never felt before. One of the women shared that it felt like a weight on her chest, that she couldn't fully catch her breath. She said that she was constantly opening her mouth to talk to her husband about things that were going on, and he wasn't there to talk to. She wanted to complain about her grandkids. She wanted to talk about tax season. She wanted to find out what she should get at the grocery store, and there was nobody else in the house to talk to about those things. And the other woman was going through similar things. One morning, they both decided to go to a Bible study at Resurrection, randomly. They showed up at the same Bible study. And they knew each other because Resurrection's a small community, but they didn't know each other. So they showed up at the same Bible study, and they had a fairly standard Bible study. And at the end of it, the leader of the Bible study asked if there was any prayer requests. And one of the women said, "I just miss my husband so much. Just miss my husband." And the other woman just burst into tears because she missed her husband too. And somebody else got it. Somebody else understood like nobody else could. After that Bible study, they went out and got coffee. And that became a weekly ritual that they still do to this day. They propped each other up. And that Christmas, when we were lighting the Advent candles, they stood up there and they held hands and they said, "We're each other's family now." One of the women said, "I call Liz when I want to complain about my grandkids. I call her when I need to talk about my taxes or when I'm trying to figure out what groceries to buy. She's my family." Church, I don't want us to waste this incredible gift we have. You are sitting in a room with people who want to be there for you. Don't waste it. Don't be too scared to waste it. If there's something going on in your life, if you are hurting, if you are scared, if you are in pain, talk to somebody about it. Reach out your hand and let us prop you up. In a few minutes, we're going to come to this table and take communion. And that's a time where we spend a lot of focus on the vertical. We spend a lot of time thinking about Christ's sacrifice for our sin, as we should. It's a time where we remember what Christ has done for us. But there's a reason that we don't take communion by ourselves in a closet. There's a reason that we take communion in a room with our fellow brothers and sisters of Christ, because this is an act of community. This is the ultimate act of community. We're sitting together saying, "I am a broken person, and the man or the woman sitting next to me is a broken person, and we both need Jesus." And so we take this bread and this grape juice, and thank God we've got him. And we prop each other up. Pray with me. Lord, I just thank you so much that we do not have to put on Sunday faces in this room. I thank you that we are not alone. We have you, and you in your infinite wisdom didn't just make an Adam, but you made an Eve. You in your infinite wisdom give us each other. God, break our pride and help us to walk in humility. Teach us to reach out to those around us. Teach us to speak of our hurts and our anger and our fear. Let us share in our rejoicing. Let us share in our sorrow. Let us be family, Father. I pray all these things in your strong and powerful name. Amen.